There is public outcry which continues after the lack of arrests in the murder of OR Tambo District Municipality employee Namhla Mtwa. Mtwa was shot 9 times shortly after arriving at her home last month. It's alleged that the gunman is known to the family and that the alleged mastermind has been widely identified on social media. To talk more about police action and, in some cases, perceived inertia in others, we're joined by UKZN Criminologist Professor Nirmala Gopal. Prof, good evening to you and welcome. The reports are that her mum, one of the reports at least, talk about her mother having been there, witnessing her daughter being killed, begging the gunman to stop. We've seen visits by police, top brass, but no arrests. What message do you believe this is sending to the family and to the community?
Good evening, Iman, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, I think for me the biggest message it sends to the community and to the country as a whole is that there's lack of confidence in terms of our South African police services. It says that we're ineffective, we are unable to make arrests timeously, and I think it just continues and reinforces the lack of confidence in SAPS, unfortunately.
Well, let's look at how social media brought some information, some alleging the identity of the perpetrator and mastermind, and other information relating to the abuse that she had suffered, the injuries on her body, some disturbing, text exchanges. How should the police service be dealing with what is essentially a modern-day hotline?
Of course, this police service should, especially since this particular case has received large-scale and widespread media attention, I think they should garner all their resources and, use those resources effectively to try and apprehend the suspect.
In your experience, and this is really your area of expertise, as you look beyond this particular case and you look at other cases which come in thick and fast every single day, there are at least a series of incidents that are reported both on social media and elsewhere. What complicates arrests in cases of GBV?
I think from my own experience, one of the issues is the lack of eyewitnesses. Usually with GBV, you'd find a reluctance, and especially if you have male eyewitnesses or close family members, there's a reluctance or hesitancy on their part to be embroiled in the criminal justice process. Because remember, down the line, witnesses may have to appear in court, etc. But I think in addition to that, and it's a well-known public secret, that we don't have an effective criminal justice system, beginning right at the bottom of the police stations, for example. What kind of reports or what kind of complaints? How do we actually record the complaints that are provided by the complainant? And I think at that level, if it's not accurate, then that kind of information could possibly be thrown out of court.
Well, I want to pick up on that last piece that you're talking about there, police and their behavior, how they treat survivors. There are endless stories of being re-traumatized at police stations, of being told, or being asked, what were you wearing? Why did you go to such, in such a place? These are all all elements and factors that speak to the training of police. Or sometimes, it could be an overworking issue. It could be a plethora of issues, I suppose. But doesn't the responsibility to make sure that police stations are places of safety for complainants rest firmly in the minister's lap? And should this be something that he spends a lot more time and agency ensuring happens?
Thank you, Man. I think with that particular question, I think there's a two-tiered response. On the one hand, yes, usually we want to blame SAPS for their lack of efficiency and effectiveness, and I am one of those that subscribes to that school of thought. But on the other hand, for a successful conviction, there's particular information that is required, and sometimes that information is very intrusive. Perhaps what we need then is for wider public awareness so that victims or survivors of gender-based violence can have some foresight into what is expected of them when they do a particular report. But I think in addition to that, you rightfully point out that there could be some insensitivity on the part of SAPs, for example. And perhaps we need to sensitize SAPs even further because, yes, whilst I say that we need particular types of data to ensure a successful prosecution or conviction, I think we also need to be cautious and sensitive in terms of how we actually elicit that kind of information. It's a very traumatic time for the survivor. And I think making him or her feel as comfortable as possible is so crucial to addressing gender-based violence in our country.
Again, a conversation I wish that we had a lot more time to engage in. Just by way of an anecdote, I was at a police station recently with somebody laying a charge of assault. And, you know, to do it out in the front space with more than one police officer watching, not always a female police officer, just in terms of that comfort. You know, these might seem very small things, but as you say, they go a long way in creating an environment that either is conducive or, you know, unacceptable, really, for people who've just gone through a crime of such a nature, which is often invasive and traumatizing. Thank you for your time. We really do appreciate it. UKZN Criminologist, Professor Nirmala Gopal.